Chromatica is a refreshing pop album that reminds us just how easily the power of music can take on many purposes. With the current status of our world, music can be used as a way to escape reality. It can be used to confront your dark emotions and pain, and it can be used as a way to mentally heal. Chromatica feels mysterious for a lot of us. Since first being introduced to the term and seeing it all throughout the Stupid Love music video, we've been wondering if Chromatica stands as an abstract concept, an imaginative place, a state of being, or all of the above. With that being said, I'm excited to take you through this album and share with you what Chromatica means to me and to share the messages I believe Lady Gaga was trying to convey. The Chromatica era began on February 28, 2020, with the release of the album's lead single, Stupid Love. The song debuted and peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, showing just how deeply the world was ready for a new Lady Gaga project. Chromatica was originally set to be released on April 10th, but due to the uprising of our global pandemic, the album was pushed back and eventually rescheduled for release on May 29th. A week before the album dropped, Rhiannon Me, a collaborative dance track with Ariana Grande, was released, and it seemed that the general level of interest towards the album had skyrocketed as a result. Rhiannon Me also granted Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande another number 1 on the Hot 100, making it Lady Gaga's 5th number 1 song and Ariana Grande's 4th. Chromatica is Lady Gaga's 6th studio album, and it's her first pop-dominated album since the release of Art Pop in 2013. The record is said to cover themes like mental health, loneliness, and PTSD, and personally, I think the album is all about rediscovering yourself through music. The album starts off with Chromatica 1, an orchestral intro that immediately leads to the next track titled Alice. Since they both connect, I treat them as one track, and as so, I will discuss the intros and connecting songs as one body of work within the album. For the longest time, my favorite Gaga album opener was Aura. It was experimental, it was unlike anything we've heard before by Lady Gaga, and Aura made me excited to listen to the rest of Art Pop. I wasn't sure if she'd be able to top an opener like that, but Alice with Chromatica 1 definitely takes the crown. The intro is dramatic and grandiose. It feels like a royal return of Lady Gaga, and I can definitely envision her using this pair to kick off the Chromatica Ball. As I prepared for this album's release, I got the impression that Chromatica is a place Lady Gaga is attempting to create through her music, so this intro felt like a way to play on imagery and almost transport us to this place. As we transition from Chromatica 1 to Alice, it feels like we've fully arrived at Chromatica, which is exciting yet strange, because at this point of the album, we don't really have a clue of what Chromatica is. Using the visuals we were given from the Stupid Love and Rhiannon Me music videos, we have an idea of what Chromatica physically looks like through Lady Gaga's eyes, but we don't yet know the reason Lady Gaga wants to take us here. As we listen more to Alice, we realize that this song is about mental distress, and it's about looking for a place to escape yourself. The first verse does a great job setting this all up, as she sings about being stuck in her mind, waking up screaming, and mentally falling down a hole. Alice carries an electro house-dominated sound, adding a sense of optimism that contradicts the lyrical message. As we journey deeper into this album, we will continuously experience this combination of positive beats with negative lyrics, and this tells me that Chromatica may be a place filled with positivity as well as trauma. It's a place to be honest about your struggles while dancing through your pain. And overall, Chromatica seems to be Lady Gaga's safe haven. One of my favorite parts of this song is the bridge. The robotic vocals remind me of her earlier work. It adds ambiguity to the track, and when she sings the Maestro Play Me Your Symphony line, she connects Alice with Chromatica 1. Lastly, I love that she kept repeating Take Me Home, and that she kept comparing home to Wonderland. We knew early on that this album would be about Lady Gaga going back to her pop roots, so when she put the heavy emphasis on going home, it tells me that this album will take us through a journey of reconnection, and that we will witness Lady Gaga once again, revealing the best parts of who she is. Alice with Chromatica 1 serves as a really good intro. It helps to define what Chromatica is, and it lays a great foundation for the rest of the album. Stupid Love is an 80s pop influence anthem that details a wounded Lady Gaga craving love and healing interchangeably. This song was released months ago, but hearing it on the album, I think I finally understand this track. Chromatica is a safe haven. It's a place where Lady Gaga feels comfortable enough to admit she's a wreck, And with this song, she is actually being really shameless about wanting love while feeling like a mess. She even sings in the first verse about crying too much and wanting someone to heal her, and I have to say that this is extremely relatable. We as people have to take charge of our well-being, but it feels good to have a partner to help you along the way. As the album's lead single, Stupid Love has taken the longest time out of every other track on Chromatica to grow on me, but after many listens, the song is now undeniably enjoyable. It sonically carries the basic elements of the pop song formula, while the lyrics demand analytic attention. She calls it Stupid Love as a way to take a step back and embrace how ridiculous our obsessions with love can be. And while I initially critiqued the bridge for its oversimplicity, I now admire it because it emphasizes her shamelessness and it showcases her unapologetic side. Overall, Stupid Love is a fun time, and once you appreciate it, it's a great anthem. Rhiannon Me is an upbeat collaboration with Ariana Grande. Carrying a heavy 90s house and disco presence, this track stays consistent with the throwback theme we've heard so far in this album. Given the fact that Rhiannon Me is about submitting yourself to devastation, it makes sense to place it after Stupid Love, a song that also contains subject elements of themes like acceptance and humility. Rhiannon Me starts off on a fast-paced acoustic note that adds a layer of mystery to the song. While we now know and love this track, we can all admit that during our first listen, we really didn't know where the song was going to take us. Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga are both strong vocalists, so we weren't sure if this song was going to be a laid-back experience that highlights their voices, or if the song was going to let the instrumentation take the lead in the way that it did with Stupid Love and Alice. It wasn't until that first dance break hits that we start to perceive Rhiannon Me as a celebratory song. We no longer theorize if Rhiannon Me is about braving a storm. We now see Rhiannon Me as a means of purification, submission, and in a way, allowing the storm to overtake you. There is this yin and yang existence in the way Gaga's lyrics in verse 1 are mainly negative, while Ari's lyrics in verse 2 are more optimistic. Lady Gaga says it's coming down on me, water like misery, while Ariana Grande says I can feel it on my skin, let it wash away my sins. It's almost as if the song is taking us through a process of anger and denial that leads to acceptance. We can also see this in the bridge when they are both singing Hands Up to the Sky, which can describe dancing but can also symbolize submission. If anything, this truly embodies what Chromatica is. A place where you can dance while you cry, a place where music brings about acceptance, and a place where you can enjoy life while realizing that it sucks sometimes. With this track, we are shown how to have a good time in the wake of destruction. We're shown how to accept life's shitty moments, and we're shown what it's like to love yourself when you've fallen down and you're not yet ready to get back up. Rhiannon Me is a representation of taking your pain and turning it into something better, and that is what Chromatica is all about. Free Woman is an anthem of independence. It's a redeclaration of who you are and what you are capable of, and coming right after Rhiannon Me, this song feels like a call to action. It starts off with a level of calmness that reminds me of Black Jesus Amen Fashion, a bonus track from the 2011 record Born This Way. In the first verse, Lady Gaga sings of her readiness for a new phase of life, and as we start to understand the current narrative of the album, we begin to identify where this readiness comes from. Since Rhiannon Me was about accepting devastation, it only makes sense that Free Woman would be about moving on and growing from that devastation. Lady Gaga tells us that she's about to set this new phase in motion, and the lyrics we get in the pre-chorus sound like the steps she needs to take in order to effectively thrive in this new phase. These lyrics sound like affirmations. I can imagine her saying these things to herself in the mirror or listening to this song when she needs a pick-me-up. The second verse is definitely a highlight for this song. She starts off with the lyrics, "This is my dance floor I fought for," and as a longtime Lady Gaga fan, this feels liberating to hear. After the backlash she received during the art pop era, we didn't really know if we'd hear pop music from Lady Gaga again, so every time I hear that lyric, it feels like I'm witnessing Lady Gaga reclaim her greatness. She's reminding us of all the innovation she's done for the world of music, and when she follows with the lyric, "A heart that's what I'm living for," it says to me that she's reclaiming that greatness for herself. It says that she's not in the headspace to make music primarily for record labels or accolades, but that she's making music as a way to hone in on her gifts. The second time we hear the pre-chorus is amazing, as she adds a limitless layer of vocal ad-libs that enhance the song's theme of freedom, and the final chorus feels like a huge celebration and an ode to herself. Altogether, Free Woman is essential to Chromatica. It carries a liberating effect when you listen to it. It does a great job adding to this developing narrative within the album, and it also stands as Lady Gaga's way of showcasing Chromatica as a place to reflect, grow, and heal through music. Fun Tonight is another example of dancing through your pain. On the surface level, the song seems to be about a relationship that's falling apart, but when you really dive deep into the song, it could very well be about inner conflict. There are some points of the song that seem to signify Lady Gaga taking self-inflicted mental blows, and Fun Tonight could be representative of the struggles she faces as she tries to be the person she sings about in Free Woman. As the song begins, we can hear frustration and confusion radiating through the lyrics and vocal delivery. This part of the song is honestly captivating as she sings about a wound that she entertains. She describes herself as being on fire, and she claims that she just wants to numb the flame. The song also feels like a recap of inner conflict when she mentions staring at the girl in the mirror who talks to her. She says, "I can see it in your face, you don't think I pull my weight." And as someone who often gets caught up in his own negative self-talk, I related deeply to this part of the song. At the start of verse 2, we hear the lyrics, "You love the paparazzi and the fame, even though you know it causes me pain." And this could be referencing a self-centered ex, but this could also be a callback to her breakout debut era in 2008, when she showcased a bit of an obsession with fame. She expressed an unmatched sense of hunger during her first few years in the limelight, and she may be expressing some level of regret as someone who is now reaping the benefits of her own ambition. Later in the verse, she describes herself as feeling like she's in a prison, and I can seriously imagine her referencing prison in relation to the music industry as a whole. It's hard to thrive in an industry where, especially as a woman, you have to keep proving yourself. You have to keep innovating, topping the charts, selling albums, winning Grammys, and Fun Tonight may be giving us some insight on how deep of a toll this kind of pressure takes on her. I didn't think too much of this song after my first listen, but after taking multiple dives into this album, I feel like Fun Tonight is another song that represents Chromatica being this place where happiness and trauma coexist. The song is upbeat, but lyrically, it's one of the most raw and honest songs on the album. Coming after Free Woman, Fun Tonight takes us through some of the struggles Lady Gaga goes through as she strives to be a confident and strong woman, and most importantly, Fun Tonight sets us up for the second phase of the album. Chromatica 2 is the interlude used to kick off the second portion of the album. Embodying the same orchestral elements of Chromatica 1, this transitional piece gives us some time to take in the effects of the album's first songs, and on an imaginative note, it feels like we are being transported to a new place, a darker and more melancholic region within Chromatica. As the interlude reaches its end, the string instruments build through a crescendo, and with what feels like a planned crash landing, we immediately transition to the connecting track, 911. There is an impressive shock factor here the first time you hear this transition. Personally, I never listened to 911 without Chromatica 2, and we can all agree that these two connected tracks exist together as the guiltiest pleasure on this album. 911 has a pop production to it that reminds me of Venus from Art Pop, and visually, it makes me picture Lady Gaga during the Venus snippet of the GUI video, in which we witness Gaga being portrayed as a wounded angel. Lyrically, this is the strongest song so far. She describes her mental journey as turning up emotional faders, she sings of her mood shifting to manic places, and she calls this mental shift a biological stasis. She describes her mental downfall as something that's ingrained into her psyche, and it makes it seem as though her downfalls in life are inevitable. In the pre-chorus of the song, she claims that she can't continue to see herself cry, and she says this is the end. It's like she's going to snap at any moment. The pre-chorus feels like a breaking point, and it's one of the most honest and compelling parts of the album we've witnessed so far. All of the song's impactful lyrical elements culminate in the chorus, where she admits that she's her biggest enemy, and this is something we can all relate to. We are all our toughest critics, and this song is an example of how deeply traumatic self-deprecation can be. When she sings the line, Papa 911, it feels intelligently ambiguous and dark. You get the gist of what she's alluding to, and this metaphor was the perfect thing needed to amplify the song's message. The second verse feels like an attempt to show off a facade of happiness. She sings about keeping herself in beautiful places as a way to distract her mind and convince herself that she's happy and at peace. She knows that these are only temporary solutions, and the remainder of the song is a reminder that she can't escape the fact that she is her own antagonist. The bridge exists to further emphasize this point, and the ad-libs she gives in the last chorus fit like a fine detail. 911 with Chromatica 2 feels like a byproduct of Fun Tonight. With Fun Tonight, she sings of her struggles to be a thriving person, and 911 seems to dive deeper into this theme of self-hate in a no-holds-barred kind of way. We are used to Lady Gaga drowning her sorrows and mainstream metaphors in dance music, but we've never seen her use sadness as the main canvas, while the dance music simply exists as a fine-tuner. 911 is a dominating song, and it almost forces you to brace yourself and get ready for whatever's coming next. Plastic Doll initiates a small shift in momentum for Chromatica. This song has a bit of a hybrid existence, in which we hear Lady Gaga embodying a plastic doll in the verses, but in the chorus and bridge, we witness her breaking away from this persona to stand up for herself. Sonically, Plastic Doll reminds me of Lady Gaga's track Monster from her EP in 2009, and there's definitely a vintage atmosphere within Plastic Doll in 911 that feels like a callback to the classic Lady Gaga sound. 911 feels very bold and in your face, kind of like Bad Romance, while Plastic Doll is more subdued in a way that allows Lady Gaga to take her time and fully stretch out the song's concept. The way she sings in the verses is very soft and inviting, as she sings about being top shelf, being both strong, having blonde hair, and living in a pink house. It's interesting to hear how she pulls us in by painting herself in a submissive light, just to hit a dynamic switch with the powerhouse vocals in the chorus. Here, she sounds dominant and demanding. She sounds in control as she claims that she's not some plastic doll, and I imagine her in a mental eruption when she sings about bouncing off the walls. The concept of plastic doll could be centered around romance or sex, in which she wants to be recognized as more than a sexual object. The theme of this song could also be about misogyny in general. She's taken a stance in the past with hits like Alejandro and fashion statements like the meat dress, so this could be another step in that direction. My interpretation of this song, just like with Fun Tonight, is related to the music industry. With Fun Tonight and 911, we witness Lady Gaga venturing through a myriad of dark places, and it's clear to see that her heavy involvement with the music industry takes a huge toll on her mental health. It's actually interesting to think of Chromatica as this polarizing place where happiness and trauma coexist, because for Lady Gaga, this could be what music means to her. Music has brought her financial freedom, international admiration, and overall happiness, but it's also brought extreme amounts of pressure, unhealthy exposure to negativity, and possibly just as much trauma as happiness. Plastic Doll could be Lady Gaga's way of taking a stance and letting everyone know that she's more than a musical persona. She's a human being after all, and a lot of us tend to forget about that. It's never easy to stand up for yourself, but in life you've got to do what's best for your health, and after hearing 911, Plastic Doll feels like a step in the right direction. Sour Candy is a full-on resurgence in momentum that we haven't really felt since Rhiannon Me. With Plastic Doll, we experience Lady Gaga starting to pick herself back up, but Plastic Doll is more subdued, while Sour Candy feels like an authentic take-charge moment. Sour Candy makes for a unique collaboration as Blackpink, a Korean girl group, starts the song off. The production here is encapsulated by a house-inspired electro-pop instrumental that sounds reminiscent of Katy Perry's Swish Swish, and as we hear Blackpink going back and forth between English and Korean lyrics, we are overtaken by anticipation as we wonder how Lady Gaga is going to fit onto her own song. The opening verse gives us some insight on a romantic partner who can be sweet one day and psycho the next. We are starting to understand Sour Candy as being descriptive of a person whose love needs to be earned, and this is further emphasized when Lady Gaga comes on the track. When we first hear her voice, it sounds eruptive. It's filled with frustration and dominance as it forcefully pulls us to the chorus. She sings about having a tough exterior, but she is also reassuring that if her love is fought for, then it can be given. This statement doesn't surprise me since Sour Candy comes right after Plastic Doll, a song that was all about Lady Gaga being taken advantage of. The verse that comes after the chorus is pure bliss. It's vintage Lady Gaga, it's outlandishly worded, and it's fierce. Thematically, this verse takes me back to Aura, the album opener from Art Pop. This track was all about Lady Gaga building her identity around a mystery, and it hinted that Art Pop would shed some light on who Lady Gaga truly is. After we hear the second chorus, Blackpink reemerges with a repeated portion of verse 1, and I love the placement as it makes the song feel more like a true collaboration. Lady Gaga ends the song by inviting her partner to take a bite, and this is another hugely satisfying part of the song we didn't know we needed until we heard it. It makes me wish the song was longer because I could honestly listen to this track all day, but in the current state of the music industry where shorter songs are better received, Sour Candy outperforms. Lady Gaga and Blackpink deliver the song in a way that leaves you wanting more, but in a good way. The song doesn't feel half-baked or underdone as many short songs do, and Sour Candy feels like a quick shot of adrenaline as we prep for Enigma, a song that I see as an album highlight. Enigma is hands down one of the best Lady Gaga songs I have heard in a very long time. Lyrically, the song is complex and layered, but it doesn't feel forced and it blends well with the production. There is this continuous house and disco presence we hear in the other tracks, but Enigma also contains that core presence of celebration that 70s disco was all about. The song starts off on a slower note as Lady Gaga depicts an image of being overtaken by uncertainty. The lyrics here are purposefully abstract, describing a mystery man, a woman phantom, and an atmospheric light. She starts the verse off by describing herself as open-minded and blinded, and right before the pre-chorus, she says she's scared but still standing, and this is her way of letting us know that she's ready for the journey she's about to endure. When I listen to Enigma, it feels like I'm hearing Lady Gaga take the messages from Sour Candy and transcend them. With Sour Candy, she was prideful about being tough and stubborn, but also sweet and loving. And then we hear Enigma, which is all about embracing all of you, even your contradictory parts, and breaking your own stigmas. It reminds me of when we were trying to define what art pop was. Just to hear her say in the song, my art pop could mean anything. Verse 2 continues the narrative we get from verse 1. The lyrics remain ambiguous as she sings about a dragon's eyes watching and a goddess breathing. And overall, this feels like a journey of enlightenment. This reminds me of the Enigma concert when we would sporadically get a visual of Lady Gaga flying through space and time, and I feel like she's letting go of control and allowing her imagination to take the lead. She also plays with the arrangement of the song to keep us on our toes, and I think she plays with the arrangement to communicate to us that we should also let go of control and just enjoy the music. The upbeat production of the chorus kicks in after all the lyrical build-up the first time we hear it. It kicks in at the start of the lyrical build-up the second time we hear it, and it kicks in one lyric late the last time we hear it. I love to hear this because it shows how much attention was given to the fine details of the instrumentation as well as the lyrics, and it shows how equally important both are. Enigma has this confident presence with it that reminds me of Marry the Night. Both songs have a self-assuring effect, and they are both reminders that Lady Gaga has more to give than what we've already witnessed. Enigma is one of my favorite songs on Chromatica, and it's one of Lady Gaga's strongest anthems. Replay is the most heavily disco-influenced song on this album, and thematically it stands as one of the deepest songs. There have already been a few instances in which I describe Chromatica as a place where happiness and trauma coexist, and Replay is a definite example of that, especially since it is placed after Enigma, one of the most uplifting songs on Chromatica. As we listen to the first verse of this song, it seems like Lady Gaga is in a haze. She sounds a bit delusional, and it's clear to see that she's singing from a vulnerable place. When we hear the chorus, we get the implication that this song is about PTSD as she sings about her mental scars being on replay. The dance break initially needed some time to grow on me, but I've always understood its purpose since it sounds like something being rewinded in fast motion. The dance break also feels appropriately chaotic. It feels like an orchestrated mess, and it resonates like a musical representation of bouncing off the walls, like she mentioned in Plastic Doll. The verses are purposefully separated from the pre-chorus in a very rigid way, It can throw you off during your first few listens, but the transitions are extremely rigid as a way to showcase how broken she feels. One of the highlights of this song is the start of verse 2, when she sings, "Every single day I dig a grave, then I sit inside it wondering if I'll behave." This is a poetically worded representation of anguish and mental struggle. It's powerfully image-inducing, and she references this lyric in the bridge when she sings of scratching her nails into the dirt to pull herself out of a hole. Speaking of the bridge, this is one of the best bridges on Chromatica. She takes her time transitioning to it from the second chorus. You're taken in by the disco vibes, and it reminds me of the bridge transition we hear in Blondie's classic hit, Atomic. During the bridge, everything about this track begins to simmer, and this helps the final chorus feel like an explosion. You can also hear a developing anger in her voice that sounds reminiscent of Art Pop's Swine, a track that also took on the topics of PTSD and sexual abuse. One of the more ambiguous parts of Replay is when Lady Gaga states that monsters torture her, and she describes these monsters as the best and worst thing that happened to her. This could easily be interpreted as a reference to her fan base, and while I think the main purpose of this song and its lyrics was to talk about PTSD, this song is also about Lady Gaga feeling haunted, and I wouldn't be surprised if she occasionally feels this way about her fans. Fan bases can be very demanding, and as I mentioned while discussing Plastic Doll, we need to do a better job at seeing our idols as humans first and musicians second. The last thing I will say about Replay is that it feels like a relapse, which is a normal part of our healing cycles. The first portion of this album tackled themes like healing and inner peace, but with Fun Tonight, we witness Lady Gaga begin to retract. Throughout the second phase of this album, we've seen her face hardships and build herself back up, only to retract again. This doesn't mean that she will repeat this cycle for the rest of her life, but with each time the cycle resets, she gets one step closer to achieving a long-standing sense of peace. Replay is an essential song and a future hit. It builds upon the album's concept, and just like with Fun Tonight, we are now properly set for the next and last phase of the album. The final phase begins with Chromatica 3, the last and shortest interlude. Just like the previous installments, this interlude gives us some time to take in the effects of the album's second phase, and it has a smooth and calming transition that leads us to its connecting track, Sign From Above, a collaboration with Elton John. Immediately, this song has a grounded presence, and when Lady Gaga starts to sing, she sounds more level-headed than she did in Replay. She begins by reflecting on her childhood, saying that when she was young, she prayed for lightning. Since lightning is typically associated with power, I interpreted this lyric as praying for strength. She then sings about going through life without guidance and losing love, while still seeking this strength. In the second half of this verse, Lady Gaga describes herself looking to the sky for some form of reassurance. She's taken us through the various highs and lows within this album, and after a song like Replay, I can imagine her being in a vulnerable or wounded state. It seems like she is starting to feel overtaken by a sense of hopelessness, and you can tell she just wants to feel like she's headed down the right path. This song seems to be about the moment Lady Gaga realized a way to heal through music. She describes this sign as something she heard rather than saw, and this could be a kind of origin story of Chromatica becoming a fully realized concept. Sign From Above feels reflective. It feels like a chance to take a step back and look at your pain from hindsight, and this is further emphasized through Elton John's verse, which is all about wasting your youth on cheap thrills or wasting your prime years by prioritizing short-term happiness. The production isn't anything we haven't already heard on this album, but the song contains a descriptive sense of lyricism that shines over everything else. The way Lady Gaga describes her experience of being shaped by this sign is extremely impactful. She does a beautiful job using her vocal talents to build momentum during the pre-chorus, and this makes the dance break feel like an earned celebration. The only issue I initially had with this track was Elton John's voice. It doesn't blend well at all with Lady Gaga's, and it took many listens for me to fully enjoy Elton's vocal input. Now I appreciate the song's authenticity because it shows what reflection looks like from multiple stages of life, and it delivers the message that reflection needs to be a continuous part of your healing process, no matter how old or young you are. The last thing I want to discuss with this song is the outro, because I truly feel like it's a brilliant and underrated part of this song. As I've already said, the production of this track is enjoyable, but it sounds so much like the other tracks that it doesn't feel as fresh. However, the outro was very unexpected. Its placement helps the track go against the typical pop song formula. It's a callback to songs like Every Time We Touch by Cascada, and it literally embodies Lady Gaga and Elton John riding the sine wave that healed their hearts. It gives us a chance to hear what they heard and to join them on their healing journey. Overall, this song is definitely an acquired taste, but once you have the song etched into your memory, it becomes a different experience. It's not just a song you know and love, but it's almost like a song that you are now a part of. Sign from Above becomes infectious at its own pace, but once you fully understand it, it's a great track to initiate the album's final phase. A Thousand Doves is one of the more humbling songs on this album. It's almost as if Sign from Above initiated a mental reset, because the vibes I get from A Thousand Doves is hugely similar to what I get when I listen to Free Woman, a song we heard during the album's first phase. A Thousand Doves is another song in which the attention to lyrical detail surpasses what you would hear on an average pop song. Lady Gaga has always been seen as a step above other pop stars in the industry, but the lyrical delivery on this album and with this song really elevate the quality of pop music to something we haven't felt in a very long time. You can tell the lyrics weren't mindlessly whipped together in a matter of minutes. Everything feels purposeful, and even the production of this track is more lighthearted in a way that complements and enhances the lyrical message. The first verse feels very stripped down and honest. Lady Gaga is simply expressing that she feels alone, she tries to be perfect, and that she's willing to catch the tears of people who do the same for her. In the second verse, she continues this theme of honesty, stating that she wants to be seen for who she really is, and describing herself as a human who is invisibly bleeding. The pre-chorus feels like an optimistic cry for help, and this pre-chorus has its deepest effect after the bridge, when all the production is pulled back, giving Lady Gaga the freedom to be delicate and emotional with her vocal delivery. The overall message of A Thousand Doves is marvelous, and it flows well coming after Sign from Above. With this song, Lady Gaga is just making it clear that she can't make it alone, which is a fact for all of us. We all need someone, whether it be a friend, partner, or a therapist, to help us get through tough times, and I love that she describes this help as lifting her up just a nudge and giving her a start. She's not asking to be carried to her own finish line, but she's asking for a little help, knowing that she'll thrive like never before after receiving a bit of support. A Thousand Doves isn't just about one occasion, because it fits on Chromatica as a part of a cycle. You aspire for greatness, you fail and fall down, and you try to pick yourself back up in the aftermath of your own shortcomings. A Thousand Doves is one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's down to earth and has a feel-good effect. It uses acceptance and humility to carry on this theme of enlightenment established with Sign from Above, and it continues to embody Chromatica as a place to heal through music. The album ends with Babylon, a song that feels like an encore or an outro. It's hard to pinpoint the deep meaning or inspiration for this song, but overall it feels like a celebration. It feels like a moment in time to take a break from your struggles and simply enjoy life. There are many people that feel Babylon is reminiscent of Madonna's Vogue, and I have to somewhat agree. There definitely seems to be some influence in the instrumentation, the vocal delivery in the chorus, and when we hear the guest vocals in the outro, it reminds me of Madonna's 1986 hit, Where's the Party? And her 1989 hit, Like a Prayer. There is nothing wrong with Lady Gaga being influenced by other artists. Babylon is still flooded with a presence of individuality, originality, and creativity. Only Lady Gaga can make a song that can be so confusing, yet equally enjoyable. You're listening to the track wondering what the hell she's talking about, but you know deep inside that you don't want the song to end. It's worth noting that there is a connection here in which the album's first track, Alice, and the album's last track, Babylon, are both songs that reference and center themselves around a physical place. This connection helps to establish Chromatica as an actual place, either physical or abstract, that Lady Gaga wants to share with us. It's as though Alice is a manifestation of Lady Gaga's desire to go somewhere, while Babylon is the actual discovery and arrival upon the wonderland she initially sang about. Think about it this way: if Chromatica is Oz, then Babylon is Emerald City. The verses of this track are enticing, image-inducing, and inviting, and the chorus is immaculate and fierce. All of the components of this song blend well enough together that you kinda wish you were invited to this BC 16th century ancient city-style house party, and she did an awesome job pulling this track off. My only critique for this song is that it's really short. This is one of those songs that really could have been stretched out to truly showcase a full-on celebration, and making it longer would have secured Babylon unanimously as the best song on the album. With that being said, however, I do somewhat understand why the song is short. There's only so much you can do with the Babylonian metaphors before they feel overdone, and I can't imagine the song being longer without receiving further Madonna comparisons. On a positive note, I can definitely imagine Lady Gaga dramatizing this song for her upcoming concert and using it to represent the complete manifestation of Chromatica. It's an awesome song that deserves an extensive music video, and it's a great choice for the album's finale. Chromatica is an album that uses music as the main force to take us on a visual and emotional journey. We began this adventure with Alice, a song that Lady Gaga used to express her desire to be taken to a place that felt like home. We witnessed her journey to find mental clarity with songs like Sign from Above and Free Woman. We felt the effects of hardship with songs like 911 and Replay. We celebrated our lives with songs like Rhiannon Me and Enigma. And we eventually found home with Babylon. Throughout this exploration, we were given these songs as a means to discover what Chromatica means to us. For some, it's simply a collection of songs to celebrate the return of a pop icon. For others, it may be a place to use music as a healing source. And for me, it's a safe haven to escape reality and dwell within pop music. Chromatica is a revitalizing pop album, and I can't wait to see what Lady Gaga creates next. What do you think of this album? Does it meet your expectations for a Lady Gaga record, or are you hoping to see something different on her next project? My top 3 songs were Enigma, Alice, and 1,000 Doves. Be sure to let me know what your favorites were, and I will be sure to pin my full ranking of this album in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. My current goal is to reach 200 subscribers by August 1st, so I would really appreciate your support. As always, if there are any other musical topics you'd like me to cover, feel free to give me that heads up. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. My name is Johnny K, and I will talk music with you in the next video.